Welcome. My name is Craig Otto, President of Gobi LLC. This is the PE130 series, which is all about family improvement. And we're going to start out here with PE131, Value-Added Living. And before we get into the meat of value-added living, what I'd like to talk about, first of all, is what personal excellence is. If you've seen any of our other workshops before, you know that it's about a journey towards personal excellence. And it's not necessarily about perfection as much as it is about the journey of discovering these new ways to improve yourself, your family, and discovering your higher purpose. And that's really what it's all about. And why should you choose personal excellence? Basically, it'll help you balance out some of the things in your life, help you focus more on maybe a legacy that you would like to leave, and align and achieve that legacy in your higher purpose. And this particular series is about how can you do that, not from an individual perspective, but from a family perspective. What's your family's legacy? What's your family's higher purpose? And then how should you use personal excellence? We're going to learn a lot of different tools, techniques, principles, concepts, and what I'd like each of you to do from a family perspective is look at what are the possibilities, what are the opportunities in each of the different tools, concepts, principles for family self-renewal. All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Non-value added activities. Now, this may sound a little funny, but the best way I can explain this is in a manufacturing sense, and then I'm going to translate it into something that makes sense to someone else that doesn't deal with manufacturing. This all originated, the reason I'm going to tell you about it from a manufacturing standpoint, because all of this, the tools and things originated from manufacturing. So if you look at the left side here, we have the word downtime. Now that's an acronym. If you look down, the first letter of each of the bullets there spelled downtime of the 8 different bullets. And each one of those represents a different type of non-value added activity. So defects, when you produce something that's wrong, that's non-value added. Or overproduction, you produce more than is needed, and what happens is that ties up your resources. You invest in something. It's like going to the grocery store buying 10 boxes of cereal when you only need 2. That's overproduction. Waiting. I think we all deal with waiting, whether we're in manufacturing or not. Think about some industries have a room designated for it, a waiting room. Some of the doctor's offices. That doesn't add any value. That's non-value added. Non-utilizing resources. You know, that's people resources. That's asset resources like computers or software or different things like that. Anything that you're not utilizing the full capability of, that's an issue, and that's non-value added. Transportation. When you're in industry, when you're transporting your product, it doesn't add any value for the customer. That's non-value added. In our sense, when we drive from one place to another, nothing is getting done to make a difference. Yes, you're just transporting yourself. And the quicker you can do that, the more you can utilize yourself. Inventory. Again, inventory ties up your resources, your money. I go back to the example I gave just a few minutes ago with you go into the grocery store and you buy a month's worth of supplies when you only need 1 week. And the reason why that's important is maybe you're investing $600 at one time in that month's supply, and it's tying up your cash flow. When you only need to invest maybe 100, 150 each week, you know, then you have that extra $400 or $350 to invest in other things if you need it. So that's why inventory is non-value added. Motion, like in a manufacturing cell, when a person has to bounce around to get his tools and find things, that's motion. At home in the kitchen, if you don't have things set up right, you may be bouncing all over the kitchen just trying to make a meal, and you'd be much more effective, more timely if you had things set up in an organized fashion. Extra processing, that's when you do more to the product than you need to do. And at home, an example I can give is it's good to read, but if you spend 8 hours reading, that's a little bit excessive. That would be an example of extra processing. So these 8 different things, those represent the non-value added activity, and those are sometimes called wastes. And that's, again, it's all listed from a manufacturing point of view. The value added represents what the customer would want, and the non-value added represents what the customer does not want. So you don't want to have to pay for transportation when you buy your groceries. You just want to buy the grocery itself. You know, that kind of puts it in the perspective of the customer. Now, to make the translation, this kind of becomes challenging, but you have to translate it from a manufacturing process point of view to from our own point of view in our life. And the value added would represent the things that help us achieve our legacy, our purpose. And then the non-value added represents the things that will mean nothing to any of us 100 years from now. Just a quick example, video games. You know, how does that help you achieve a legacy that's meaningful? Yeah, you may achieve a legacy of being the best video game player, but what would that mean to someone 100 years from now when people are learning about history, about our time? I'm sure they're not going to read, you know, how someone was the best video game player. It means nothing. So that's where it gets into value added is something that really helps you achieve a legacy, something that's a higher purpose. And then the non-value added represents something that really doesn't mean anything to anyone. So